It's 3 a.m. The room is dark. Everyone else in the world seems to be asleep, and you are lying there, completely awake, having a full philosophical debate with yourself about something you said in 2019. You're not anxious exactly. You're not sad exactly. You're just on, like a machine that never received the shutdown command. There's a name for what happens inside your brain in those hours. A network of interconnected regions, the medial prefrontal cortex, the posterior cingulate cortex, the hippocampus, that neuroscientists call the default mode network. Most people's brains slip into this network gently at rest, like a river easing into a lake. Yours doesn't ease. Yours floods. The default mode network in highly intelligent, deeply introspective individuals doesn't quiet down at night. It amplifies. It becomes the loudest room in the building precisely when the building is supposed to be empty. This is not insomnia. This is not anxiety disorder, though it can look identical from the outside. This is something far more specific and far more purposeful than you've been told. Nature doesn't preserve mistakes. Evolution is ruthless in its editing. So ask yourself, if lying awake at 3 a.m. thinking too deeply were purely destructive, why would the trait persist across thousands of years of human history? The answer is that your brain was never designed for sleep optimization. It was designed for threat detection, pattern recognition, and the kind of slow, recursive thinking that solves problems no one else in the tribe even noticed existed. Your ancestors who lay awake, running through every possible scenario, every shadow, every silence, every shift in the wind, were the ones who survived what others didn't see coming. You are not broken. You are the biological inheritor of the watchman's mind. You were built to stay up when everyone else went down. The tragedy is that you inherited this architecture for a world that no longer has predators at the door. So the watchman turns inward and begins watching you. Here is the metaphor that will carry everything else. Your mind is a telescope pointed at the wrong sky. A telescope is an instrument of extraordinary precision. It was built to see things no naked eye can reach, distant light, ancient formations, the geometry of things that existed before language. When it is pointed correctly, it reveals wonders. But when a telescope is left unattended, without coordinates, without an object to lock onto, it doesn't turn off. It keeps scanning. It catches static and noise and ambient light, and it processes all of it with the same intensity it would use on a star. At 3 a.m., your mind is a telescope scanning a blank ceiling. It doesn't know the difference between an existential crisis and a genuine problem to solve. It doesn't distinguish between productive reflection and recursive loops. It applies full computational power, all of it, to whatever happens to be in its field of view. And in the silence of 3 a.m., what's in its field of view is everything you've ever worried about, everyone you've ever hurt or been hurt by, and every version of yourself you haven't yet become. This is not a character flaw. It is a calibration problem. So here is how you give the telescope coordinates. The first tool, the Meridian Log. Before sleep, not in bed, at a desk or a table with paper, you write. Not journaling in the traditional sense, not Dear Diary. You write in 3 specific columns. In the first column, what is unresolved. In the second, what is unresolvable tonight. In the third, what the earliest possible moment of resolution could be, even if it's 2 weeks away. The neuroscience behind this is the Zeigarnik effect. Your brain keeps open loops active, literally allocating cognitive resources to unfinished tasks, which is why incomplete thoughts feel louder than complete ones. The Meridian Log doesn't solve the problem. It closes the loop by externalizing it. Your brain releases its grip because it has evidence, written, physical, concrete evidence, that the thought will not be lost.
You are telling your default mode network, I have logged it. You may stand down. The second tool, cognitive declination. Declination is the astronomical term for the angle at which a telescope is tilted away from the horizon. You use this tool when the recursive loops begin, when you catch yourself thinking about the same thing for the third time in 4 minutes. You physically tilt your head downward, gently, toward your chest. This is not symbolic. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest branch, by stimulating the vagus nerve, which runs through the back of the throat and the neck. The downward tilt reduces cortisol signaling and triggers a gentle parasympathetic cascade. Combined with a slow exhale, twice as long as the inhale, it physiologically interrupts the loop. 4 seconds in, 8 seconds out. Head tilted, eyes closed. You are manually adjusting the telescope's angle. You are pointing it at the ground instead of the ceiling. The third tool, the single star protocol. A telescope cannot focus on everything at once. The moment you try to see all of it simultaneously, the relationship, the career, the thing you said, the thing you didn't say, the future, the past, the image dissolves into blur. The single star protocol is a nightly pre-sleep practice borrowed from a technique in acceptance and commitment therapy called cognitive diffusion, but reframed for this specific mind. You choose one thought, just one, and you give it permission to exist fully. Not to be solved, not to be suppressed, just to be held, clearly in focus. You say its name out loud, quietly, once. I'm worried I'm falling behind. I'm grieving something I can't explain. I don't know if I made the right choice. You name the star, and then, and this is the critical part, you let it be far away. It exists, you can see it, but you are not inside it. You are the astronomer, not the object of study. The fourth tool, temporal anchoring. The 3 a.m. mind exists outside of time. This is why it feels so totalizing. When you are in it, it feels like it's permanent. It feels like this is how you will always feel, and this is the truest version of reality, and the daytime version of you who felt fine was the illusion. This is the default mode network doing what it was evolutionarily designed to do, treating threat as urgent and ongoing. Temporal anchoring is the practice of saying, aloud if necessary, it is 3:17 a.m. on a Tuesday in June. I am in my room. The temperature is this. The surface beneath me feels like this. You are not grounding in the therapeutic buzzword sense. You are giving the telescope a timestamp. You are pulling it out of the abstract and locating it in the concrete. Research on interoceptive awareness, your brain's ability to sense the physical state of your own body, shows that naming sensory experience in real time reduces amygdala activation within 60 to 90 seconds. You don't need 60 to 90 minutes. You need 60 to 90 seconds of specific, sensory, present tense language. Here is the caveat. The one thing that most advice about the overactive mind gets catastrophically wrong. You will be told to quiet your mind, to silence it, to achieve stillness. Do not make stillness the goal. When you make stillness the goal, your mind, this telescope, this watchman, this extraordinary and exhausting instrument, turns its full attention toward the task of achieving its absence. And it cannot. It was not built to. The moment you try to force silence, you create a second layer of thought about the absence of thought, which means you now have two problems instead of one. The goal is not silence. The goal is direction. A telescope pointed at something real, Even something small, even something quiet, stops scanning. It doesn't need to be told to stop. It simply stops because it has found its object. Give your mind an object, not a task, not a problem, an object, a single breath, a specific memory of warmth, one sensory detail of the room you're in. The mind that was keeping you awake is the same mind that, given coordinates, can find extraordinary things in the dark. You are not someone who thinks too much. You are someone who has been handed a precision instrument and never given the instruction manual. The 3 a.m. hours are not evidence of your brokenness. They are evidence of a mind that refuses to waste its hours, even the ones that are supposed to be empty. You just needed to learn what to point it at. If you want a structured, printable version of all 4 tools, the Meridian Log template, the cognitive declination practice, the single star protocol, and the temporal anchoring script, there's a free PDF guide linked in the description. It was built specifically for this kind of mind. Take it. Use it tonight.